Good morning once again, it's Ragewood here, back with another video. Today we're looking at a different chief challenge. We are looking at the poison boss, which is taking increased damage from lightning heroes. Now, in the Chief Challenge section, the goal is to score as high as possible, okay? So for me, that is... Ideally, I want to be getting between 18 and 19,000 points, which is over 100 million, essentially. So I'm just going to take a quick talk about the boss, why I've set up the way I have, and then go from there. So, like all bosses, he is immune to controlled effects. That's step one. The other one is, again, like all bosses, every time they release their ultimate, they get a stack of increased damage. After that, this guy is basically Stegamuffin, the hero that we all got in Season 2 that no one wanted until the Megadort boss came round. And in which case, at that point, everyone wanted him. So looking at his first passive, he deals poison damage to the enemy with the highest attack, marking them for 6 seconds. During this time, the hero will shoot an additional arrow at them when launching a basic attack, dealing poison damage. So, you want to try and manipulate this in a way so that your really squishy damage dealers don't get this. So for my instance, for example, I've tried to keep Garrett and Zephy with the highest attack on my team. Let's just double check. He's got around 5k. Zephy is sort of 4-4. Yep, that's sort of 3. That's 5k as well, so I should probably change that, actually thinking about it, because Avelios will get hit. And then, yeah, Nesjenka is way under, so I'll make some changes. We'll do the run. In fact, it might be an idea for me to show you why doing what... not doing that is bad, so to speak. But yes, so if you can, you want to try and manipulate it so it's going on your slightly tankier or melee builds. So in this case for me, it's these two here. His second ability then, or his ultimate rather, I suppose, summons a magic nexus that lasts 8 seconds in an area, dealing poison damage to enemies within range. Whilst it is in existence, enemies who die in it cannot be resurrected. Okay, so... not that Lightning has any resurrection heroes, but it just means you can't cheese it per se. And then his passive, when he deals damage to enemies, there's a 25% chance of inflicting one of the random debuffs. Attack penalty, crit rate down, crit damage down, and attack speed down. Now this is different to the actual Stegamuffin. The actual Stegamuffin will put things like healing reduction, block buffs, that kind of thing. So they've changed it, obviously, just to make it really hard for you. So, with that in mind then, so why am I laid out the way I am laid out? So, essentially, Garrett is here. As you can see, Avelios, he's going to target him initially to begin with. When he steps forward to here, the boss will step forward. So it'll just be Zephy and him that should take the brunt of the damage. I've got Nimbus back here. He is in my Witch's Remains. And again, just enough of a gap that I think when the boss does his ultimate, it shouldn't hit too many people. The same reason Avelios is here. Now, because he's in Queen's Fan, I want him back here, really, because Queen Fan says they deal increased derivative damage the further they are away. But Avelios is bugged, and you'll see him step forward when he tries to cast his battle skill for some weird reason. It's been reported. And then Nesjenka I've got back here. She will battle skill in, but I just, rather than starting her up here, I just want to make sure that they absolutely go that way. Zephy, the only reason Zephy is in here really is for her ultimate. It lasts for 8 seconds, which is the same amount of time that the boss's ultimate goes off for. So I should stay pretty healthy throughout the entire fight. Now my concern is the fact that my Evelios has more attack than my Garrett. I am saying going to leave it, but I can see my Evelios taking a chunking here, so it might not go as well as I want it to. Especially once the attack down is on, he's going to get targeted, but we will see. So starting off, as you saw then, Evelios Nastenka battle cry skilled in, and Evelios, as expected, has the weird little thing above his head to show that the boss is targeting him. Obviously, I've targeted everyone to go after my defense down, and then when the boss does his ultimate, Sephi does hers. But yeah, so this is what I don't want, okay? I've got the ultimate going down on the back line here. Now the attack down is on. It's switched to my Garrett. But we'll see if the ultimate flies back here or if it goes where I want it to, back at the front there. Yeah, that's where we want it. So fingers crossed that's where it stays there now for the rest of the fight. But we shall see. Now to score the sort of score that I want to get, I need to be doing at least 20 million per round, or per minute as it were. And as you can see, I am doing that. I will get around 25. No Witches remains there is rubbish, especially as Nimbus has over the 270 accuracy threshold. Coming on late, so a lot of the damage being mitigated there, but 28 as the first minute mark goes round. So I'm going to pause the recording here, I'll let it play through, and then we'll come back in a few minutes and see how we got on. Okay guys, so we are back. I did get over the threshold that I wanted, so I did do 25 million a minute, and I finished up with a score of 18,711, which is great. This is sort of where I want to be. Now I'm not going to save this one, mainly because I know that I have scored higher. I did manage to get just over 140 million, I think, the other night on stream. So some of the gear might need tweaking and things like that. Now, there are some key things here to remember, and some things that I'm not following myself, which isn't great, but it could help you survive a little bit longer. So, if we go to the Lightning faction, so Dauntless is key when it comes to killing bosses. It always has been. They are the kings of single target. So for you guys, okay, we're quite fortunate. It was the same last season as well. There are a lot of good free-to-play options, okay? Vanny is amazing. She grants attack up to herself, and she gives attack speed to all Dauntless allies. Attack speed 2, I believe it might be 50%, so you know, she could be a good candidate to just bang in the highest attack. So put Organ on her, for example. Just fill her with attack so she is the target of the boss with his ultimate and things like that. She is great, and she also pairs really well with someone like Yagnat and even Howl. Okay, these guys are just sort of single target monsters. He gives himself attack up and gets attack speed when an enemy dies, but that's not going to come into play here. Yagnats as well, he hurls javelins, considered basic attacks, just lots of single target here, and again, grants himself attack speed up as well. So, you know, Vanny, Yagnats, these ones are all great options. Another sort of brilliant choice that you could use is Shaltar. Now, the reason for this and that you could use Shaltar as your tank is because his damage scales off enlightenment. It's all derivative. So if he's the target of the boss's ultimate and you're getting your crit rate, your crit damage, your attack down kind of thing, it doesn't matter to him because it's not putting enlightenment down, which is where his damage comes from. So Shoutar is a good option for a tank here. If you put him in the wolf spine gloves, the mythic set gloves, if you've got a pair of those, he'll also heal and he'll bring a lot of self-sustain to himself. So is another good option that you could potentially run here. He also grants a shield and basic attacks, say derivative damage there. Obviously, I'm using Nimbus. You could use Shagroll as well if you want for the attack speed aura to squeeze out more damage for your guys. But what I would say is you don't want to use too many melee heroes. Now, I'm using Estjenka. She is one, and I'm not ever going to get rid of her because she's the only exclusive legendary that I have with the exclusive artifact, so she is going to be a must for me. She does a lot of my damage. Garrett I could potentially swap out for something. I might even think about putting him in Wolf Spine just to help him survive a little bit longer himself. But as you can see, I don't have tons of Dauntless heroes. Now, support options. There are two other people you could use. I'm using Zephy, is just to say, because the ultimate happens to match up with the boss if I have enough skill haste. Nathaniel, I've seen a lot of people use Nathaniel. He does work here himself. Okay, he does clear one debuff, okay, which, okay, when the boss is putting 3 or 4 up, isn't, great, but he is a support healer that you can use. Another option you can have is Vex. I've seen a few people use Vex with a bit of success here. The hero's damage taken from enemy heroes will not exceed 35%, so it's great. You can't get chunks down, but it's not really something that ever rises in these PvE situations. She inflicts lightning damage and stuns, again, doesn't really come into play here with the immune to control effects. But it is this one just here that a lot of people are using her for. So she strikes an enemy 3 times, dealing lightning damage, with a 50% chance of dispelling 1 buff from them. Now, the boss doesn't put buffs up on himself, and you can't get rid of the increased stack. But it does mean she is a potential user for Witch's Remains. And she also grants debuff immunity to all allies for 10 seconds if all the buffs on the enemy are dispelled. The boss is never putting buffs up on himself, so you're always going to get this trigger, which is great in stopping your attack speeds and things going up. So this, potentially could be a sneaky top play here. I haven't seen many people use them, but I have heard some chatter in Discords and things like that. So now Vex is the one that you get from, I think it's Fae Meander. I think it's either Fae Meander or Pillar. It's one of those two. I think it's Fae for Season 3. So if you've got her, don't sleep on her. Could be, say, a great option here, because then you don't need to build resistance either. You just slap her in some accuracy, try and get 100% crit rate, Witch's Remains on her, and just let everyone else go ham. Iola, another great option here for a couple of reasons. Where is she? Again, her ultimate strikes 3 times, so defense down again, but mainly the attack penalty. Now, this is one thing I'm not running that perhaps I should be, to help me survive a little bit longer, because I do lose my Garrett just under a minute to go, generally. So this could be an option for me to swap out, and an option for you guys if you're struggling to survive. You could perhaps go with Vex, Iola, and Nathaniel. Between those 3, you've got your attack downs, you've got your heals, and you've got your debuff immunity, so it could be an option for you guys. Enna again puts some hit recovery over times, and dispels 1 debuff, so it is a very sort of free-to-play friendly option. You could use her. Irina smacks and has attack penalty, so again, could be another option for you. Defense-wise, obviously, any melee hero in theory can be a tank. Obviously, Garrett is not a tank, but I am using him as such. But if you happen to have some of these guys, again, it could be great for you. Lydia was great last season. She put control immunity on herself, but doesn't come into play here. But she's still fairly decent because she grants a shield to a few people, and she gains immortality on her basic attack. So a bit of longevity in fights could come into play here. I don't think Nuguk or Volthug really do much here, because Nuguk stuns people, I believe. Yep, and Nuguk does have attack down on his ultimate, so could be okay. Especially, to be fair, if you're pairing him with Nathaniel or Enna and they're putting recovery up, he will get increased defense and things like that. So Volthug could be a decent option for you. And then Stan Gwem puts control immunity and debuff up and invincibility, so kind of like a legendary version of Lydia. Fathom down has the attack down and the ult down as well, so, and debuff immunity on himself, so again, could be to play. So there's some options for you guys. Ultimately, say try and bring your attack downs. I'm not, and I might have to change. Spread your characters out like this so they don't all get hit with the debuffs. And yeah, hopefully you can score high as you can. I say I'm going to try again. And I'm going to keep going until I hit that 140, because I know I can do it. But best of luck to you lot. Look after yourselves. Take it easy. Work hard. But as always, play harder. And I'll see you in another one soon. Take care.